the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100. So guys, by the way, I'm pretty sick today, but I want to rush this video out so I can make it 30 minutes before market close. I have to do it early to get some personal stuff going on today. But I just want to get this out there for y'all. So going into yesterday, we talked about some major things. And I want to highlight first, before I even go any further right now, I want to highlight the loss that I did have overnight. Because again, I haven't really posted a loss lately. I just haven't had that many because I've taken so few trades in comparison. For instance, the last trade we had was Tesla, was a really big winner, about $7,000. I posted on Twitter, so I want to see it as well. But the loser, about 10% in comparison, that $700 on Meta. It was a pretty big position. But yeah, I just want to highlight that before we even go any further so you can see that. And I highlight that just so people understand losing is a part of the game. You're going to lose when it comes to trading, but you have to understand when to cut things, when to get out, and being okay with that. You need to understand how to measure risk to reward, and for that trade, it made sense for me. Anyways, going further, what are we looking at? Now, SPY, I want to talk about some few specifics going forward. Again, as quickly as, this is going to be a shorter video for sure. If we look at the daily, first of all, you are breaking above the 200 MA, as you can see right there. I want this to be very, very clear. Breaking right above it, you're pushing up. If we go over to ES, and we're looking at the 2 hour, just because I want to keep a modest chart and be able to kind of do both as far as long and short term, because I'm not going to have that much time here. You're breaking over local highs, finding that 403 range on SPY, and then getting over that 440, 450 range on ES. You broke above the 200 MA on the daily also. Again, if you don't know how important this is, let me quickly go back to what's happened here. You've basically been below this 200 MA ever since. I mean, you broke below it originally back in March, you got back above, and then you broke back below it on April, and you got rejected once, twice, and then 3 times, and then now you're breaking back above right now. So this is pretty good news of where you're at, and you look really good. Now, what I want to do is quickly go over to about the 4 hour chart to show you some key levels we're looking at. Now, I believe the 4100, I've been saying it for a while, it's that next level if you can break this. So I want to highlight where you were. Going back to around July, you can see you mounted this area, got back above, mounted it. You can see that right there. You wicked a little bit above it, and then you came back down. So right now, I anticipate going into the after hours and tomorrow, you're going to see this test, and you look really strong. SPY, big test here. Obviously, the supply that's around the 410 levels on the 2 hour, you can see a little bit better, but I was a little bit zoomed out so you can see right there. I'm gonna get rid of those indicators, but you can see right there. And for people wondering why I get rid of indicators, I don't necessarily use that many. I use the 90 MA and sometimes VWAP and the 200 MA when it comes to the long dated timeframes, but I don't focus on them specifically. I will occasionally use the 90 MA on the 5 minute. That's where I do a lot of my day trading on, but that's really it, just so you know. So this is my target going in tomorrow on the 410 level. You do have PCE, so be on the lookout for that. Before we go any further, I have to ask you to consider doing 2 things, liking and subscribing. I make videos every day for you, so you are prepared. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, when we look at this market, there's some big winners out here. And I'm going to not waste too much time on indexes because I believe they look so strong. And I'm going to tell you right now for Nasdaq, I have to just go over for 1 second. Your next level is 12.1. I think you hit this almost immediately tomorrow. I think you're coming straight into 12.1, 12.15. It's going to come in a hurry. I'm telling you right now, I didn't do too much covering of the Powell speech, but I'm telling you right now, it was the most bullish speech we've ever heard from this man, probably for the past year and a half. Let me just say year and a half, okay? So what he said is Powell says December rate hike, and he said it a lot. The slowdown is possible, but he really said they think a slowdown is the best way moving forward. This is literally his words, okay? And that's pretty strong. So it goes right into our theory of 50, 0.25, and then moving forward, either slowing down completely or just 2.5s going forward. Now, again, does this mean that we're just going to continue to rip up? No, I think we're going to have a little bit of seesawing back and forth still. You're going to have your little dips come in here and there. However, there's a few major bullet points on the SPY and ES that I don't want to talk about right now, but if those hold, you're going to see a lot of upside movement, okay? So you can watch that speech. It's on YouTube. I'll have a link down below. But again, very, very bullish in my opinion. He spoke very highly of everything, and he actually said with the labor, and I disagree with what he's saying. If you look at it as a sense, he said the labor market with where it's at, since it's strong and they're handling getting inflation down as far as CPI, PPI, it's the best soft landing approach. That's what he said, okay? Now, my devil's advocate theory to that is what if, and he kind of touched on it a little bit, what if energy spikes? What if consumer demand and supply in China just gets totally halted by the COVID restrictions, right? That's the question mark. And he didn't really touch on that much. He really didn't. He really just played bull here. So I'm going to not lie to you. There was some big what ifs. He didn't touch on them. Go figure. But looking at this right now from a short-term perspective, short-term being upside is probably likely. So when we get into these charts, let's talk about them. 1, NVIDIA, semiconductors, I'm going to tell you right now, probably the most bullish sector. If I go to the 4 hour, you can see it really clear. Higher lows continue to hold. Really, if we go over to trading view, I have a better picture here. Higher lows continuously for about 2 months. You break over the pennant, the lower highs you were making here, you're pushing up. 200 daily MA is right here on 177, 176. Probably my favorite play overall right now. I'm not going to lie to you. I think QCOM, AMD, those are all great plays also. Now, when we go over to Tesla again, I'm going to run through this quick. Tesla broke over your major level here. I still have like 2 or 3 runners here. I did sell 2 of them, so you know, so I have 2 left right now. Now, if we look at what's happening, I'm assuming you're going to get a test of 200. You can look at the call flow already. It's coming in very bullish. Just doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get there, but however, the momentum looks strong going into tomorrow. Now, I also want to say something. I don't have any contracts yet. People were asking me on Twitter, why wasn't I buying? I am not going to buy directly into high IV, hold overnight, not knowing if we're going to continue, because that doesn't follow my plan, right? And I want to just share with y'all what I told Discord, food for thought. And I can't zoom in here, so it sucks, but let me just quickly say it. A quick rundown of today. That speech was the most bullish Fed speech in maybe 2 years. I'm fairly confident Nasdaq hits 12.1 tomorrow and SPY breaks 200 in May and runs to 410. I cannot buy anything because the IV is just so high. If I was to buy anything gun to my head, it would be Boeing for January because I believe it's the lowest risk, which it is, but down to like 172 is your downside risk there. And it's sitting on a breakout point. Maybe risking 20% if it just tanks overnight. So if the market does revert overnight to the downside, I think you're risking maybe 15, 20%, which again, that's a lot of money, but I just want to highlight, if you look at something like short dated, like NVIDIA or anything else, those are going to get hammered. Now, my runner-ups, best calls, NVIDIA, Apple, AMD, basically 70% of tech. Again, I post this on Twitter for everyone to see. Again, I'm not buying anything because Ivy Crush could be deadly, and I have to keep doing cuts because I'm coughing so much. Close-dated contracts carry the most risk, which is obvious, but especially not because of the strength of this move, which has just been kind of parabolic. However, this is good news. It does look like we're finally going to getting back to normal. The chop is kind of over, back to good swings and scalps. I just wanted to update everyone. So that's my viewpoint there and what I'm looking at. So I do like this. I like the potential, but I want to be clear. I have nothing yet because I think buying into this crazy IV push is just so dangerous, and I have to warn everyone about that. You would like to see a little bit of a retrace, maybe some slowdown, but again, I still think you're going to be really bullish into tomorrow. That's my personal opinion. Now, if we go a little bit further, again, I did say Boeing, and again, I stand by what I say with Boeing. It's literally probably the greatest looking stock. I mean, you can literally see NQ running to 12,000 right now. It's kind of atrocious. But if we look here, Boeing, you're breaking this top range. You already made a higher high today, and you've sat here roughly the majority of the day. Upside, you have 185, 186. I've been telling you about this for weeks. And again, people were trying to troll, saying we were bearish, we were going down. Again, I let my work do the talking, okay? I don't boast in whatever I do. I try to just give you guys the cold hard facts, but I'm doing what I'm looking at and potential setups, right? I may not be in them, but I like to give you as much opportunity as possible. So again, 185, 184, and then after that, the 190 to 195 area be my clear overall level. Now, runner up, and probably one of the sleepers right now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Ulta's kind of crazy. So Ulta's gonna have earnings, I believe, tomorrow. Be on the lookout for these guys because they just continue to make all-time highs. It's almost absurd, and it's kind of a little random stock that I'm bringing in here. This is the daily chart on Ulta. Look how incredible it is. Inflation doesn't stand a chance here. So if we look at Ulta, just want to highlight it out there. Has a lot of upside potential, still beautiful. But this is what I'm looking at on the day. I'm sorry, I have to go. Again, I feel absolutely terrible, but overall, you look good. You're looking to break up. You still have a lot of upside here. And right now, you can see right now, as I'm looking at NQ, again, I'm making this video live, not editing anything. Got that push 12,000, minor rejection, 12.1's the target here. You break out of this trend, I'm telling you, it's full bull from there if we break out of this. Now, I'm not saying that there's no possibility of downside, but I think we're going to have some nasty volatility in the coming days if we break out of this range. Personal opinion, what I'll be looking at. Have a good one.